and once you've tasted homemade, you'll realise how easy it is and how delicious they are. So, earlier today on Facebook, I asked you if you were going to cook live with us, you need to have baked your potatoes. But if you're just watching and then you're going to make it later, first job, get your jacket potatoes into the oven. So we have got these made ready, and this is the best way to make mashed potato, in my opinion. Is not to boil them, is to bake a potato, and then all we're going to do is cut them open like this. And what this does, we'll do all of these, because after we finish broadcasting, we're going to make more for dinner, so we're going to make a lot more. So in the recipe, I've said 4 jacket potatoes, so they're 4 large ones, and as you can imagine, sorry? We've got little ones. Exactly. I went to the supermarket, and all there was little ones. So we're just going to double them up. And the crucial ratio, and me and Emily tested this today because we had it for lunch as well, is 200 grams of mashed potato. It was 1 egg yolk. It was 20 grams of parmesan. It was 20 grams of plain flour. And that made really, really delicious potato gnocchi. So that kind of ratio, so 200, 2 egg yolks, no, 1 egg yolk, wasn't it, Emily? 1 egg yolk, sorry. And then 20 grams of cheese, 20 grams of flour, a little bit of salt and pepper, boom, you've got amazing gnocchi. So what we're going to do, Pops, get yourself a spoon just there, and we're going to scoop out the mashed potato. Okay? Sometimes you can do it without a spoon, you can just kind of, can you see that all right, Emily? Yeah. I get told off for not putting it in the right place, you see. So I like to check. So if you can, just squash it like that and squeeze it out. There we go. They are a bit warm, aren't they? I can do it if you want. But look, if you just squeeze it like that, Pops. Okay. Yeah? And it'll come out. Tastes, oh, I love this. I love this recipe. I actually went to the island of Capri and had real Italian gnocchi once. And that was when I kind of realised that supermarket gnocchi in the UK was nothing like it is in Italy, like the real deal. So
you forgot to cut this one.
Okay, you cut that one then. Right. So what I want you to do now, Pops, is we'll do the rest of these later on. So that's probably enough for what we're going to do. Now, if you have any questions at all, post them on Facebook. Emily's having a look at the Facebook feed, so she'll be able to answer any questions you might have. I know she's also got a few questions lined up for me already, because Emily's kind of totally into food, and there are new recipes all the time, so it's kind of like her questions are just natural. Right, are you eating again? Poppy Sidwell. Right, masher. Come on, Chief Masher. Mash your potatoes now. We're not going to add any milk or anything like that, because all we want is really dry, light, fluffy mashed potato. Okay, we're going to get a pan on the heat, because this is quite a quick recipe, I'll be honest with you. It's really quite easy. If you've got the potatoes cooked, you'll be eating in 15 minutes from them coming out as jackets. So I'm going to put plenty of salt in my water, because this is where you get a bit of the seasoning. Sorry, Pops. I'm going to also season the potato now while it's in my hand. Okay. We'll do a little bit of black pepper, not too much. There we go. None in there. Right, how are we getting on? Are we nearly there?
You can have a go.
You want me to have a go? All right. Have we got any questions, Emily? What about your questions? Fire one at me. So you can use sweet potato, you can use pumpkin, you can use butternut squash. What I would suggest is you maybe do a little bit of a ratio. So a little bit of potato, maybe half normal potato, half pumpkin, half butternut squash, half sweet potato. Sweet potato's got a lot of moisture in it. So you need to make sure that you kind of counterbalance that. You could also make gnocchi as well. You don't have to use potato at all. When we went to Italy, we went to Tuscany for a little while, we had ricotta and nettle gnocchi. So if you don't fancy eating nettles, you can do it with spinach. So you do spinach, cooked wilted spinach, ricotta cheese, egg yolks, parmesan, and you just kind of mix it all together. Tiny little bit of flour just kind of takes it from a cheese to a dough, and you do exactly the same thing. But potatoes is the classic. How are we doing? We good? Right, let me have a quick go, because what we're going to do next is we're going to make a mess. You ready? Because you're good at that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right, so what we need to do is, just pass me a bowl. We need to weigh our mashed potato, because at the beginning, if you remember, what we talked about was a kind of ratio. Although I gave you quite a precise recipe, everybody's potatoes are different. So what we need to work out is, right,
585.
so we've got, I would say 600, because we've got a little bit left in there. So we've got 600 grams. So that's 3 egg yolks need to go in there. Pops, you're on. 3 egg yolks, please. And I'm going to tip the mash out and just mash it a little bit on here while you do that.
How should I do it?
Right, do you want me to show you how to separate an egg?
Yeah, I know how to do the egg whites. I don't know how to do the yolk.
Right, okay, I will show you. So, there's our mashed potato. Right, before you do anything, let's take that mash and just...
Put a hole in it. Make a donut.
Let's make a little well there. Can we see that all right, Emily?
Yeah.
Okay, so, a bowl. Can we see the bowl?
Yeah, just next to it.
So you crack the egg that way. Let the egg white drop and take the yolk from one side of the shell to the other. Yeah?
Oh.
And that leaves the white, and we want the yolk in there. Okay?
Oh, that.
That's it, nice and gentle. There you go.
What can you do with the egg white?
You can freeze them, or you can turn them into meringues, or you can make egg white omelets if you're particularly protein fanatical.
Question, Pete.
Yeah.
Somebody's got 750 grams of potatoes and how many egg yolks should we
Take 50 grams out. Because you can't really half an egg yolk. But I think you'll probably be all right, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think you'll be okay. What you might want to do is just add a tiny little bit more flour. Poppy's, you've done it the wrong way around, haven't you? That's all right. Lift it out. Yeah, you see, you've done that before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Pop your yolk in and go and wash your hands. Brilliant. Okay. Right, so we've now got our potato. We have got our egg yolks. It's now time for the parmesan, okay? So we're going to weigh the parmesan out. We need 60 grams. So can you just get rid of those plates, those egg shells for me?
Sorry.
It's all right. And I'll have the bowl, the plate.
I'll grate.
All right. Well, we need.
Great at grating.
Are you great at grating? Oh, the grief I've had for the great jokes. Right. I want you to grate straight onto there. Hang on. There we go. 60 grams. Okay? So if you want more cheese, so if you do it that way, you'll just get little bits. But if you do it that way, you get more cheese out of your grate. So it's a great way to do it.
It's a great way to grate. Okay.
Oh. There you go. Off you go. Oh. Right. And then we will be working with flour. So I'm just going to tiny season that. I've got the flour next. Right. Do you want me to help you out? Do you want to get the flour ready and I'll finish that?
No,
We could be a while. Right, so we're also going to work with 60 grams of plain flour as well. Right, we're on 20 grams, we need twice that.
Okay.
Okay? Alright.
With you using that close, can we make it gluten-free?
So, gluten-free gnocchi works. You have to kind of make sure that every gluten-free flour reacts just slightly differently. So, gluten-free flour will react differently and will swell up and firm up at a slightly different pace to wheat flour. So, you do need to experiment. I would expect you probably need to add, if we're adding 60 grams to this, I would try 75 grams of gluten-free flour and see how it absorbs. It's very much about how it feels, and the more you make it, the more you know that that gnocchi is going to sort of firm up nicely. What's going to happen is when it's cooked out in boiling water, the egg yolk that's in there will actually help thicken it, and the flour swells up and firms the dough up, and that's how it kind of, you get that nice texture. But what you've got to do is make sure you don't overcook gnocchi, because the minute it floats, switch the heat off and get them out. Okay, they're really good at showing you. Like, the minute they float, that's when they're cooked. So it's quite good, you know, when they're cooked. Right, Poppy. There is 60 grams of parmesan. Okay, take your sleeves, roll them up. And then we're also going to get 60 grams of flour as well while we're at it. Okay, you weigh the flour out, I'll start mixing this. Okay, so in with our potato. Poppy's going to weigh out 60 grams of flour. And I'm just going to get my hands in and I'm going to squelch this. And Poppy's going to want it in on this, aren't you?
Yeah.
I thought you were. Right, hang on. Move the scales out of the way. So at the moment, it's a pretty wet, kind of sloppy mixture. But if you then add the flour, so scatter the flour on, yeah? So this is just plain flour. If you've got double O pasta flour, you could use that if you wanted, or if you've got bread flour. Come on, in you get.
Ew.
So mix all that together until you get a more firm dough. Almost like, it's like a really soft, delicate pastry. It doesn't want to be sort of tough. It wants to be delicate and soft, but enough to handle it. Try not to throw it around, yeah? And then otherwise you'll get in a mess and we'll lose the flour that we need and we'll end up having to add more. Yeah, you want to do it there? I'm just going to wash my hands, Pops. You keep going. Doing a good job. Ask the viewers if they've got any questions. Okay. Are we all right? Okay. I'm going to turn the heat up. I'm actually going to add a little bit more flour because I think you lost some when you mixed it. So if you find that it's looking a little soft, we're just going to add a touch more flour, like a teaspoon of it. Okay? You good?
Yeah.
Right.
For this bit, do you have to use parmesan?
No, parmesan, what parmesan does, it gives it a richness and a flavour. And that's it. So if you wanted to use cheddar, you could use cheddar. I wouldn't use mozzarella because it's a little bit stringy. You want a more of a crumbly, tangier cheese that'll kind of really give some sort of sharpness and flavour. Right, that's good. You go and wash your hands and I will finish that dough and it'll be ready for us to mix and make
Trying to get as much
gnocchi.
as you can.
Yeah, that's all right. Don't worry. Off you go.
Okie dokie.
Go wash your hands. Well done. Right, so once you get it to that point, send them off to wash their hands. And then just roll in a bit of flour, okay? I'm just going to use my knife just to sort of, I'm not using the sharp bit, I'm just using the edge to kind of scrape off the worktop. There we go. That just tidies my worktop up a little bit because it's not Poppy's strong point being tidy, I'll be honest. So all I'm doing is mixing it, okay? And then I'm going to divide it into 4 portions, okay? So 1 portion each. Where's the what? Over there. Are we cut on my hands at the moment, Emily? We are. Good. So all I'm going to, I've got 4 portions. All I'm going to do is roll them like this into long sausage shapes. Yeah? You can do that for me, can't you? In a little bit of flour. And then once they're like that, just cut them into pieces about 1 centimetre wide. Okay? And then once you've got them into pieces, just put them in your hand. Can you see that all right, Emily? Yeah. Yeah? Put it in your hand and just use 1 finger and just roll it like that and squeeze it like that. Do you see that all right? So squeeze the ends, roll the top, and then pop them down.
Does that look okay?
Perfect. Little bit thin. All right. Little bit thicker you need it. But if you do it like that size, then they'll be perfect. So 2 fingers roll on the top, squash the ends. So you make them. It's important that you make them about the same size so that they all cook consistently together at the same time. Because what you don't want is some at the bottom in the pan and some at the top. You want them all to float at the same time because you can switch the heat off then and lift them out into your sauce. Now we're going to do a really simple garlic butter, walnut and sage sauce. Well, I've got fresh sage out of the garden, but you can use dried sage. But just remember, when you use dried sage, it's much stronger because obviously it's dry, so it's more intense. So you want just a little bit.
I don't know how to do that.
All right, I'll show you, okay? So you take it like that, 2 fingers, roll it like that, and then squeeze the top like that, and then roll. Yeah? Got it?
Yep.
Great, right. Are we any more questions, Emily? Are we okay at the moment? We're okay at the moment. Right, so once Poppy's done all of those, I'm going to get them into the boiling water. This is salted boiling water. And then I'm also going to make our sauce. Now I've got my butter in the frying pan ready. I'm just going to melt this. Once we get the gnocchi in here, I'll transfer the pan over there out of the way. We'll bring the other one in so that you can see it. How are we doing? We'll do those later. Okay? If you get a sticky, get a little bit of flour. Okay? You get a little bit of flour there. Okay, so butter's melting. Nice. That's actually going to be a sauce. We're going to make an emulsion from some of the water that the gnocchi's cooked in and some of the butter. Okay? Some of the butter. Right, there we go. So we just roll them with 2 fingers, like that, and then squeeze the tops.
Like that?
Yeah, like that. You can also get like a little wooden rack that you can roll them on, so it kind of creates a ridged edge on them, and the idea is that that holds the sauce. Right, butter melting slowly. Are we ready?
No.
By the time I've added those, you'll be ready with those, won't you? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so in with the gnocchi. Got to be really quick now, okay? Because they take a minute to cook and that's it. They don't take long. You want a really big pan. I've got the MasterClass Smart Ceramic pans here. So this is the 4-litre shallow pan. I love it. I use it for everything. Right, are we good? Right, let's just move this along there. Can you get me the chopping board? Because we're going to get the garlic now. So let's just scrape that along there carefully. Chopping board. Well done. Right, plop the chopping board on there. I'm going to move these over. Right, can you grab me the garlic, please, Pops?
Do I need to make it a texture?
No, what do you need to do? Smash it. Yeah. Can you smash it? Just with your hand? Well done. Right, so 2 cloves of garlic, that'll be fine. Can you unwrap that one? Unwrap that one. And then we'll just slice them up. So we're going to add some walnuts. So you get really good for you. And you get a lovely crunch and a nice texture. Which I think texture is really important when you're cooking something, particularly when you're cooking something soft. You want interesting texture. Right, Poppy, can you pick me 7 sage leaves? 7. There we go.
1.
Yep. And then chop your garlic, and then that goes straight in. 7. Right, as I said, sage fresh. If you have it in the garden, it will still be alive. It survives the winter, just about. I'll have a little bit of rosemary because I saw it and I quite fancied it in the garden.
If you didn't fancy serving it like this, what else can you serve it with?
As in a dish on its own.
Dish on its own, or like?
Yeah, you can serve it instead of potatoes, basically. So, you could do a really beautiful Italian roast chicken dish and serve it with gnocchi. instead. Right, in with a little bit of rosemary, just because I had it in the garden. No other reason other than that. It doesn't have to go in. If you haven't got it, it'll still be fine. It'll be delicious. Right, the only last thing we need is the parmesan to finish. So, can you see that all right, Emily?
Yeah.
We in on the pan? Not yet. We'll do it straight in, I think. Now, can you see the gnocchi, Emily, or not?
I can't.
Okay, that's fine. Very disappointing. Right. Oh, that smells good. Garlic. Clears the nostrils. Lovely. A little bit of seasoning. All right, pop it, leave it on the wide then. So as it comes up to the boil, what we're going to do, it's more important now that actually we see this, the frying pan. I'm going to take half a ladle of water that we have cooked the gnocchi in. It's almost about to float. I'm going to add the water to the garlic butter and it's going to make an emulsion. So that's where your butter becomes a sauce. Can you see how cloudy it's gone there, Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah? We've now got butter and water and starch from the flour that's in there. Okay, Pops, we are nearly ready to go. Can you see they are just starting to float now, Poppy? Yeah, they're just coming up. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop that on there so that Emily can cut to that and she can see. Yeah?
Perfect spot.
Well, you know, I like to look after her. She moans otherwise. Right, so that's our emulsion. That's our sauce. Can you see as it's floating?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully lift them out. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, you carefully lift them out. Make sure you drain the water away as you do it. I shall tidy this up. Have we got any questions, Emily? Because we are coming towards the end. It's quite a nice, quick little recipe because it's Monday night. We've all got the shock of the weekend. We're back to work, although most days are the same, aren't they, these days? Are we all right? Is anybody cooking with us today? Or are they all just watching? All right. Looks good, Pop. Good. Good. Right, so while Pops is getting the last few, I'm going to add a touch more parmesan
I'll do that.
for flavour. You're doing everything today, aren't you?
No, but I like parmesan.
I know, you like doing that, don't you? Right, I'm going to lift this away. And then what I'd like to do, Poppy, is just move that onto there, if that's all right. On a medium to low heat. Just warming it through. Because what the gnocchi will do now is it'll kind of absorb some of the sauce, give it more flavour, it'll be delicious.
Bit brown.
All right, I'll eat that. Nice. Right. Okay. That'll do, I think.
Okie dokie.
Pops. Right. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to toss that a little bit so you can see all the different flavours. And can you see, Emily, how creamy that's gone now? On the side of the pans, there's no cream in that, but it's gone creamy because of the starch water that's coming out of the pan and the parmesan and the butter together. So you kind of almost end up with this creamy, delicious, nutty, crunchy, garlicky gnocchi dish. And you've not added parmesan, any butter to it at all.
Only for the sauce.
Not added any cream, I mean, sorry. Excuse me. Are you going to try?
Okay.
There you go. No? Right, there you go. Have a little taste. See what you think. They should be light, fluffy, really delicate. The one most important thing is do not overcook them. The minute they rise to the surface of the water, cut the heat straight away, lift them out. So regardless of whether you're making this sort of garlic, walnuts, butter sauce, if you're making it in a tomato sauce, have your sauce warming gently in a pan. As soon as that gnocchi's done, lift it out, get it in, turn it off the heat, gently stir it together and serve it. It's a really lovely, delicious, kind of comforting dish. It's really, really nice. That is so good. You must cook this. If you're not already cooking, which you should be, make sure you cook this because it is really easy. Chuck your jacket potatoes in the oven. 20 minutes, you've got a lovely Italian dish. It's almost like sitting in an Italian restaurant. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the recipe. I hope you give it a go. I hope you make it. Send us any pictures if you have made it. Send us a picture. Let's see. We love seeing the pictures of what other people have made. It's great and it really connects us all. We'll be back on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. We're going to be making a really delicious phyllo parcel filled with feta and couscous and tomatoes and onions and peppers. A really delicious vegetarian dish. It's like a phyllo pie. It's amazing. We will be here at 5 o'clock on Facebook, Cooking on Wednesday.